Okay, so just a quick recap then. Start talking about Mentuhotep I, 11th dynasty. He unified, that is his main thing that he did, unified Upper and Lower Egypt. And he established capital at Thebes. And he also reads, so he is an important guy, okay? Then we talk about the concerns that were dealt by the rulers of the Middle Kingdom. And then Dar al Bahari is an important location because that's where you have all the temples, the monastery, and it's on the west side of the the Nile. And there is these three rulers that extensively built at this site. Mentuhotep II, coming from the 11th dynasty, Amenhotep I, we'll talk about him later, and Hatshepsut, I don't even know how to say this, Hatshepsut, I'm just gonna call her that, Hatshepsut. Okay, so now and then we moved on to Amenemhet I, coming from the 12th dynasty, which is also the founding dynasty of the Middle Kingdom. The name means he who repeats births, is considered to be the beginning of the Middle Kingdom. Military campaign, so a lot of military stuff going on here, right? And he's basically doing stuff that Sneferu did in the Old Kingdom, if you want to remember it like that. So he built Wall of the Prince, fortifications to guard Nerithian frontiers, series of ports from Semna to Buhan, and military campaigns against Libyans in Sinai. Sneferu traded with Sinai, and he actually did a campaign against Sinai. Okay, so now we move on, and then we also talked about the Middle Kingdom pyramids. They're not great, but they're alright. But they're not well preserved, obviously, because of their inferior construction. Then we go and talk about Amenemhet II. Amenemhet II is the third pharaoh of the 12th dynasty, and like I said in the previous video, we don't really know about the second pharaoh. So he's the third pharaoh of the 12th dynasty. Then we need to talk about a location called El Lisht. It is the Middle Kingdom site of burials of royal elites and kings. Okay, so this is sort of like the royal cemetery now. Okay, site known for the tomb of Snabisi, found undisturbed and found with some jewelry. So Snabisi is another pharaoh, which we won't get into the details of, but yeah, it's famous for that. Egyptian foreign policy in the Middle Kingdom, greater role in Near Eastern politics. So now they're starting to intervene with the Eastern politics. Tribute taxes to Egypt from Levant, Aegean, and greater Levantine presence in Egypt. Eastern influences in art. So East, East, East. Okay. So I know this is seems pretty random, but that's the way it is, unfortunately, unless you want to go dug deep into the Egyptian history. But if you just want to get a gist of how things were, this is enough. So we talked about our first ruler. We started with Mentuhotep II, then we talked about Amenemhet I, okay? Then we talk about Amenemhet II. So Amenemhet II, we didn't really say anything except that he's the third pharaoh, so hopefully it's not as confusing. Then we talk about El Lisht, and then we talk about Senuseret II. And Senuseret II is the fourth pharaoh of the 12th dynasty. His pyramid is at El Lahun, so don't confuse that with El Lisht. El Lisht is famous for Sinabisi, I guess, Sinabisi, and he's a pharaoh of Middle Kingdom times as well. And El Lahun is the site for Senuseret II. That's all we know about him. And end of Middle Kingdom comes about when there is a political decline with no apparent outbreak of violence. So it was a pretty smooth decline, I guess. Some evidence of lower Nile water level. So again, climate influencing a civilization. And then we talk about Amenemhet III Sphinx. He possibly is the son of Senuseret II, and he is referred to as the greatest monarch of the Middle Kingdom. We'll just continue this in the next video.